This is the Brew Party Podcast. Episode 75 is live, motherfuckers. We're back. The Brew Party once again. Andy Hopper checking in, as always, thanking you for joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're listening wherever you get your podcasts. I appreciate you more than you know. So I'm going to keep this intro as short as possible. I know I say that all the time, that it ends up being long as fuck, but I don't really have anything to talk about besides tell you about this episode. Also, this interview is about an hour and 20 minutes long, so I don't want to keep you here and get you disinterested before we get into the good stuff. So on this episode of the Brew Party Podcast, I am joined by the one and only Sam Cardona, a great friend of the program from the Girl Who Talks Sports podcast. She is awesome. Love Sam, and talking to her about sports, about whatever it is, given our takes on the NFL, and boy, this was a good one. We had our week one reactions, maybe overreactions, a lot of people could call them, but we were here. We talked about our biggest surprises, biggest disappointments, our week one MVP, the rookie quarterbacks, some of the injuries, our team's matchups. So she is from New York. She is a New York Giants fan. I don't know what that accent was. Let's move past it. So we talked about their defeat against the Denver Broncos, and of course, my Chicago Bears defeat at the hands of Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams, but a lot of other games, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about the Packers. We talked about Jameis Winston. Jameis is actually how Sam and I got together, how we became friends, was bonding over Jameis Winston, and look at us now. Thank you so much to Sam, as always, for joining us. It's always a great time. We also talked about her boys, Joey Burrow and Justin Herbert. We did a nice little game of true or false. We looked at some of Sam's tweets. It was a very, very fun episode, recapping week one and doing a little bit of a preview for her expectations for tonight's game, the Thursday night game, the New York Football Giants, the G-Men, and the Washington Football Team. Thursday night football, week one recap with Sam Cardona on the Brew Party Podcast is here. Make sure you check out all of Sam's work. She is now the third co-host on Big Blue Avenue on the Review and Preview Sports Network. Make sure you check that out with Tom Scavetta, Hank and Dictor, and now Sam. They are live every Thursday, I believe at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Review and Preview Facebook page. Make sure you check that out. And also, The Girl Who Talks Sports. Check out her awesome content on YouTube. YouTube.com/The Girl Who Talks Sports, and then get her wherever you find your podcasts, The Girl Who Talks Sports. She's on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast. Shout out to me for getting that right. She's on Instagram and TikTok at The Girl Who Talks Sports. Make sure you check that out. Stay tuned for this awesome episode with Sam Cardona, recapping week one. You know we love having her on the show. Before we get into this interview, I have one thing to plug and then one short thing I'll mention. Maloney's Moneyline, we are so back. You're looking at your week one winner right here, 6-2. I hope you rode with us. I hope you had a good time watching the live stream. We're back this week on Friday, 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern on the Brew Party, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Maloney's Moneyline, week 2 is live, featuring special guest, our friend Sporty Jordy. She has like a million different things she's doing now, but I'll plug her YouTube. YouTube.com/Sporty Jordy. Check her out. She's on Twitter at TheSportyJordy as well. She is going to be joining us. We're going to be betting against the spread. I mean, you guys know how we do it. Favorite, underdog, over, under, lock, our general picks. Jordy's going to be joining in on the fun, seeing if she can beat us this week. So check that out. Friday, 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. The Brew Party YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Anywhere you can check that out. Comment along. Tell us if you like your picks or not. If you prefer to listen to that, the audio will be posted probably right after. I'm going to the Illinois-Maryland game on Friday night. That is going to be a fun one. Friday night football, 8 p.m. on FS1. The Fighting Illini and the Terrapins. not so high on them like I was after week 1 and week 0, excuse me. The big win over Nebraska, 2 losses in a row to UTSA, and they're just getting mollywopped on the road at Virginia. Excuse me, their quarterback, Armstrong, I think he threw for like 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns against the Illini. Defense didn't look great. Brandon Peters back in the starting lineup. Hopefully they can get something going on Friday night at home. Hopefully it's a decent crowd. I'll be there cheering loud, probably pissing people off. But, that's not much else to say right now about the Illini. I'm hoping to get a decent Illini. I'm hoping to get an Illini guest, a good Illini guest, on the show here in the near future to talk about the team. But I would like something good to talk about and not for it to be all negative. But if they don't give us anything good to talk about, then, well, you got it. So that's really all I got. Keeping this intro 6 minutes, I call that short and sweet. So this is the Brew Party Podcast, episode number 75 with Sam Cardona, our NFL Week 1 recap. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media. We are at the Brew Party Podcast on Facebook. We are at the Brew Party on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, or we make sure you subscribe. Trying to get those subscribers up. We're so close to 100. I think we're at 74 or 75 right now. YouTube.com/The Brew Party. Would love, love, love to have you guys join the party. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you're more into listening, we are all into that too. I know my face isn't anything good to look at anyways, so whatever. I like the downloads either way. Find us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Pandora. We're on Amazon Music, Podbean. If that's too much, just go to www.thebrewparty.com. It's got all of our social media links. It's got all links to listen to all of our episodes. You can listen right there on the website, or it'll take you to your favorite podcast player. Jesus, I cannot talk. Let's get this going. A couple more things. I'm sorry. If you'd like to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/thebrewparty. You can donate to the show. I think it's a $5 donation. If you do, we will chug a beer for you and shout you out on the next podcast. And then also, if you're still interested in Brew Party merch, which you will see Sam rocking in this interview, it was awesome. You can go to bonfire.com/brand-new-brew-party-merch, or just go to our twitter.com/thebrewparty. It's our pinned tweet right at the top of our profile. You can get your Brew Party swag. Let's get you into this interview with the one and only Sam Cardona. One last thing from the Stan's College Football Show, Week 3. Check us out. Me, Brian McCardle, Tom Scavetta, bringing you all the top stories from college football, the games you should be watching for Week 3, and of course, a Week 2 recap. Excited to get back with those guys tomorrow. That should be out Thursday evening. Check that out. This is the Brew Party Podcast, episode number 75, featuring Sam Cardona from the Girl Who Talks Sports podcast. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with another very, very good friend of the program, episode 75 of the Brew Party. We're joined by the one and only, you know her, straight out of New York. She's our resident Giants fan. It is Sam Cardona from the Girl Who Talks Sports podcast, making her first appearance in quite a while. We'd love to have you back. Always love having you. Sam, how are you doing? NFL Week 1 is behind us at this point, but you are here to help me recap, talk about the biggest storylines, our favorite things, maybe our least favorite things, as both of our teams' performances during Week 1. But anyway, so happy to have you. How are you? How have you been since we last talked and since you last been on the show?
Yeah, I've been great, and thank you so much for having me. I'm always stoked to come on the Brew Party. Obviously, I'm wearing my Brew Party merch today. I'm very excited. I've been wearing it all day. I've been running errands and just running at people and going, listen to the Brew Party.
I'm on there today.
I'm really excited to talk about NFL Week 1. It was probably the best NFL Week 1 I feel like I've ever experienced. Every single game was like phenomenal, and I was trying to like schedule my bathroom breaks on Sunday because I could not find time to like peel myself away from the screen. It was just fantastic. But yeah, I'm really excited to go over everything today because we have a lot to dissect.
There's absolutely is a lot to dissect. Before we do that, let's plug your stuff for a little bit. Your awesome program, your social media, everything you got going. And you're also, I didn't even mention, one of the brand new co-hosts of Big Blue Avenue over on Review and Preview Sports. So congratulations for securing that gig, and hopefully you can keep Tom and Hank sane this season.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm really stoked about it. I am the third member of Big Blue Avenue now on Review and Preview. I was on it so many times last year, they just couldn't get rid of me. They were like, you know what? Permanent host. So yeah, so you guys can check out Big Blue Avenue on the Facebook Live on Review and Preview Facebook page every Thursday at 7 p.m. We'll be basically previewing the game on Thursday night against Washington this week, which I'm dreading. But yeah, you guys can find me. I'm the girl who talks sports on all podcasting platforms, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post a lot of all my podcasts are there. I post some extra content. I have some extra content planned for this season I'm really excited about. And you can follow me on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast, and you can follow me on Instagram at the girl who talks sports. I'm also on TikTok. That's a fun environment. I'm still learning it, but it's a fun time.
I had a personal TikTok for a while. I deleted it quite a while ago. It was just, I don't know. I never got like super into it. It's a very, very interesting space.
It's a weird place. I don't know if I've actually found my space in it yet, but I'm having a fun time. So
there you go.
Just going
make sure
with it.
that For You page is lit. You don't get a bunch of weird stuff on there. I swear, like every time Kaylin, like she's addicted to it. It feels like,
oh my God, me too.
So I'll be like looking over to like, what are you doing? I'm watching TikToks.
Yeah,
like, she'll be scrolling through her For You page, and it's like, what the fuck have you liked to get this algorithm here? Because this is some weird ass shit. I
get the weirdest stuff.
Well, and it just speaks to how weird people on the internet are. So, but no matter. One more question before we get into week one. It was your first week of fantasy football.
Oh,
how did it go?
Not good. I lost by a lot of points, like 50 points. But
Welcome
the team I went up against she had Dak as her quarterback, so like a lot of points came from that. Yeah, I'm a little discouraged. I was actually, just before we came on to record this, I was perusing the website to try and find some new people possibly. So I dropped I had Michael Thomas, and I was like, why do I have him? So I got rid of him, and I actually replaced him with his replacement of Marquez Callaway. So hopefully it gives me a few more points. I don't know. We'll see. I'm projected to win this week, but by 0.2 points. So we'll see.
Take what you can get.
I'm very discouraged though. I don't know if I'm enjoying myself yet.
I don't know, man. In our league that we're in together, my matchup was week one was of course against Ryan Maloney, great friend of the show. And if I could say anything about the matchup, it's like I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm whatever the fuck he said. He hung 165 points on me. Like my team scored 120 points and I still lost. Like I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. So just
that's just bad luck.
You just tip your hat to him and be like, yeah. But no, I'm excited for the rest of the season as far as fantasy goes, because I mean I really like my team. Yeah, no, watch out, stay off the tracks.
I'm terrified. I don't know what to expect.
So has this changed the way you watch football at all? Like knowing you have a fantasy team?
A little bit, yeah. Like Monday night, I had Lamar and Mark Andrews. So I was like, I was rooting for the Raiders to win because my brother's a Steelers fan. I can't root for the Ravens because he would decapitate me. So, but I was like, Dan, my quarterback is Lamar and my tight end is Mark Andrews. Like, I have to root for them. He goes, I understand. So I was like, you know what? Thank you. So I was rooting for Lamar and Mark Andrews, and I was like, yeah, this is going to boost my points up a whole lot. And then it didn't. And I was like,
yeah.
So it's definitely different though. I'm definitely like rooting for more things to happen because I want things to happen for me, but otherwise disappointed this week for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's a long season. We just got to bounce back.
True.
So let's move on. Week one of the NFL.
Yeah.
It's finally here. It felt like it took forever for it to finally get back. And it was just what is it? 7 hours of commercial-free football is coming at you right now.
Incredible.
Is just an orgasmic thing to hear.
Amazing.
Amazing. What were some of the games that stuck out to you most during week 1 before we really dive into it? Was there one that you really had your eye on more than others? One that you were super shocked by, or what?
The one that I think I was most excited to watch and was very pleased with the outcome was Cardinals Titans, because I thought that was going to be a much closer game. And I have been saying for the past 2 months that the Cardinals are this team that's going to be phenomenal, and nobody's believed me. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they came out week 1 against the Titans and won, I feel very I was
Vindicated.
like, wow, I actually know something about football. It's incredible.
I have a take. Correct take. Mark
Yes.
one on the board for Sam there. Thank
Yep.
you.
So it was a great game. It was awesome to watch, Kyler Murray and D Hop back on the field, and Chandler Jones, my God, incredible defensive plays with all of his sacks. So
Yeah,
that game was really great for me to see, because I was like, haha, I'm right.
I'm no math expert, but 5 sacks is quite a lot.
It's a lot.
No, but I'm glad you brought that game up, because the Cardinals hang 38 points on them. They only allow 13 on this explosive offense from Tennessee that's, has the leading rusher from last season in Derrick Henry, and they bring in an all-pro receiver in Julio Jones along with A.J. Brown, and they really just couldn't get anything going. They did turn the ball over. Henry only 58 yards, but their
Yeah.
leading receiver was Rodgers with 44. Julio Jones, Brown, nowhere to be found. I guess you can attribute that to the 5 sacks, the pressure they were getting, and just hats off to the Cardinals defense. What was your biggest disappointment game that you were most disappointed by?
Oh, well, this one's probably a little bit obvious.
Yeah.
But the Packers, what a disappointment to watch. Not even exciting. I mean, it was exciting for the Saints. Good for you
Mhm.
guys. That was fantastic. But my God, I was singing Aaron's praises for the past few weeks. I was like, he's gonna come out with a vengeance. He's got his squad back. He's got Randall Cobb back. He's ready to go. And I was like, bro, what was that? What were you doing? So I think that was just hard to watch, honestly. It was just a rough watch, but the Saints
So,
did well, so good for
yeah,
them.
let's talk about Rodgers first, then we'll talk about the Saints, because Rodgers 15 for 28, 133 yards, 2 interceptions, 38-3 is the worst loss of his career. There was all this talk in the offseason about how he didn't want to be there, how he was unhappy with the organization, didn't show up until the very, last minute. How much do you think that has to do with this first game performance? Or do you think it's pretty much, do you think this is just a one-off, just fluky performance from Green Bay? Or do you think we should start to be getting a little bit worried about the Packers?
I don't think we should be worried per se about their ability. I think that we should be worried about their headspace and the fact that they came out into this game with way too much confidence. And even I think Aaron Rodgers even said it. He was like, we were way too comfortable. We expected it to just be whatever. So hopefully over this next week, they kind of get their headspace in a better place and they'll figure it out, because there's no way, this team is, at least the offense, I think their defense is still pretty bad, honestly. Because last year they were not that good, and this year I really wasn't seeing anything good from it either. But their offense, at least, it's you guys got to pull together here. So I think that they went into this game with so much confidence and so much comfortability that it just completely tanked them. But I think next week, and they're going up division rivals with the Lions next week in prime time. So they better step it up, because if they don't, my God, so many people are going to be upset, because they're going to be like, we chose the Packers to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It's funny that you said the defense is still bad, because I literally wrote that in my notes. I say GB. It says GB defense still bad.
Still bad.
So in the game versus New Orleans, they were allowed 5 yards per play. New Orleans was 5 for 10 on third down and 2 for 2 on fourth. So the Packers were struggling getting off the field on those downs. their run game was non-existent. Their leading rusher was A.J. Dillon with 4 carries for 19 yards. I think as a team, they had 46 yards rushing. Just terrible. Devontae Adams, 5 receptions for 56 yards. Can't get anything going. Jordan Love comes in the game. He got some snaps. This is all I have to say is don't you ever compare yourself to Jordan and Pippen again. Not up in here. Not up in here. I know it's just week 1 and we love like overreacting to stuff like this, but this is not a good start. Mm-mm. You know who did have a good start is the man that brought this friendship together, Samantha. Standing on the corner, Jameis Winston down in NOLA. Such a fine sight to see. 5 touchdowns. He is so fucking back. It is incredible. 14 for 20, 148 yards, 5 touchdowns. What did you think about his performance?
First of all, performance on the field aside, post-game interview, incredible. Fantastic. National treasure. I love this man so much. On the field, looked really confident, looked so comfortable there. Like you could tell, like I was afraid that he might come into this saying, I have to fill the shoes of Drew Brees, right? Like you're like coming into this team and you're like, wow, how am I supposed to follow that? But I think that since he was on the bench last year, he learned from Drew Brees a little bit and kind of took some tidbits here and there just to make himself a better quarterback. And he came out with free agency receivers that nobody knows about, just put 5 touchdowns on the board. I mean, the guy's a slinger. He's incredible. Like he really, and now that he can see, all is right in the world. Like he went out and got his LASIK surgery and now he's like unstoppable. So I think Jameis was fantastic. I'm so excited to see what the rest of this season has in store for the Saints.
Isn't that a wild sentence to say about an NFL quarterback? Is now that he can see?
I mean, do you remember him on Tampa Bay? He was straight up squinting, like backing up and squinting down the field. I'm like, no wonder the guy had 30 interceptions.
Listen,
like,
he's got the best training regimen I've ever seen. You know, he's got the magical hips. They don't lie. You know, you see the videos of him working out with just the most random workouts I think I've ever seen in my life. But
they
are working. The post-game interview, what did he say? He just said, play hard, man. Yeah. Just play. It's just like, what am I trying to say? Just come on, man. Just come on, dude.
Perfect.
But I love that you mentioned the 30. So that's well documented. He threw for like 5,000 yards, but he had the classic 30-30 season, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. What do you think we can expect from this year? Do you think that's done? Because we did see him checking the ball down more, not making those or forcing those deep balls that we know he loves to throw. Do you think this was going to be something that, you know, sticks with him throughout his career? Do you think we're going to see another one of those super high interception years from him? I think especially now with, you know, Kamara and how they want to use him, you know, 20 carries for 83 yards, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of him too.
Definitely. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he's still going to throw interceptions. Like nobody's perfect.
Oh, right. I'm not saying he's going to throw 0, but I just feel like it's something where something's got to give, right?
I definitely think so. I think that he's going to be like this same slinger that we saw with these 30 touchdowns. I mean, he got 5 in the first week. Like he's on track for like 1 million at this point. So I love that he's right there and the interceptions are lower. Because especially with the run game, obviously, like you said, like you're not going to throw as much if you have a solid running back. And it just showed in this entire game. And I think that also playing against the Packers and seeing how far ahead they were getting, they were like, their confidence was just increasing throughout the entire game. So they were like, wow, like we're beating Aaron Rodgers. We're beating the Aaron Rodgers that was supposed to come out here and devour us. And I think that they just kind of moved their way down the field each drive. And now I think Jameis is going to have a really good year. I'm so excited for him. Like he's doing so good. I'm so proud of him.
I'm so hyped for him. I mean, this is something that he was quoted as saying, like, not just Sean Payton, but it's Drew Brees.
Yeah.
said, it's about the decision. It's about the decision. And we saw him. He's making better decisions. He didn't take any sacks. We even saw him scramble a little bit. And even Drew Brees had a joke after the game, said, man, maybe this is what the Saints were missing, someone who could throw the deep ball.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that was always funny. I mean, just so we're rooting for him. I know I wasn't expecting the Saints to win this game. I bet on the Packers -3.5, and I took the over. Neither of those hit. But if it means the Packers lose in an embarrassing fashion like this, and Jameis Winston is now thrust into glory, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So let's move on to your biggest surprise from week 1.
So, apart from the Cardinals, a team that I was very upset with, apart from my team, was the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, I figured this was coming.
Very upsetting because they played the Steelers, and both me and my dad, my brother's a Steelers fan. I was like, you are not starting this year 1-0. Like, you cannot be serious to think that in your headspace. And he was like, okay, blah, 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 blah. He was at work when the Steelers were playing. He comes home. I couldn't make eye contact with him. I was like, I'm so embarrassed right now. Like, it was horrible. Like, the Bills were supposed to come out and be this amazing team, and the Steelers defense just walked all over them. Their offensive line looked horrible. Even Josh Allen really wasn't looking like that same quarterback that we saw in the playoffs last year. Am I concerned? No, because they're still going to the Super Bowl, but I was very disappointed in them.
Love the confidence. Did we put too high of expectations on the Bills, or maybe not high enough expectations for the Steelers?
I would say there wasn't enough with the Steelers. I think a lot of people have diminished the Steelers throughout this entire offseason because they had a very horrible postseason last year. And with Big Ben coming back, even I said it, like, Big Ben coming back, first of all, Big Ben didn't really look all that good in this game. I think he was saved by this defense. But TJ Watt got paid. This defense is terrifying, actually, to see. Like, they are, I cannot even imagine being a quarterback versus the Steelers defense. But I think that the receivers on the Steelers are trying to pick up the slack of maybe how slow Big Ben is to get up and that kind of thing. So people are throwing him down here because of the TikToks and the dancing and all this stuff. But they're still a good team. They still have these great receivers and an amazing defense. So I would say that the Steelers were definitely lowballed, like way too low.
Sure. I agree with that. But I also think the Bills just really seemed out of sync offensively as well. They outgained Pittsburgh by 119 yards. They still lost. I think the demise is the turnovers, and then they were only 1 for 4 in the red zone. And you don't win games when you're only scoring one time when you're inside the 20-yard line. Excuse me. So, yeah, that was definitely my disappointment, was the Bills. I still have Josh Allen to win the MVP. I love the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. I'm still rooting for them to have a big year. And like we're going to have to talk ourselves into when we talk about our actual favorite teams here in a little bit. It's only week 1. It's a very long season. But yeah, everybody was so down on the Steelers this offseason. Just what? And I think people forget just how good that defense was. And, Big Ben, he's old. He still knows how to manage a game. And, they did get a little bit of improvement to the run game with Najee Harris. The offensive line is still really young. I think just because they beat the Bills in week 1 doesn't mean they're, instantly these favorites, right? Because we all saw what happened last year. They went 12-0 and completely collapsed. So we'll see, but hats off to them for, going into Buffalo and winning that game for sure. So let's talk a little bit more. Give me your MVP from week 1. Could be any game. Who do you think had the best performance, the most standout performance?
Apart from Jameis, who was like my first thought, I'm gonna give it to a quarterback that's on a new team, and it's gonna stab you a little bit there, Andy. I'm sorry, but Matt Stafford
It's the right
really,
answer because it's who I was going to pick too.
really.
It's the right answer. Yes.
Matt Stafford did exactly what I think the Rams were expecting him to do. In my podcast this week, with Miss Jordan, Sporty Jordy, we talked about this as well. And it's just, he did what he needed to do and made the Rams look the way everyone was expecting the Rams to look.
Hmm.
So he did, I think he had a career best quarterback rating. What was it? 156.1.
And it's
He's never had a rating that high before. So with the right receivers, with the right coach, with the right organization, Matt Stafford is shining now, which he couldn't do in Detroit, which he stayed there for way too long, I think.
He did, but people need to stop the narrative that he never had any weapons because he played with a Hall of Famer and Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
There were pieces there. They were just a shit franchise.
Yeah.
But yes, he did probably stay a few years too long. Here's a couple for you that really just hurt. Yeah, like you mentioned, his passer rating, 156.1, is the highest in NFL history for a quarterback who had at least 20 pass attempts in his debut with a new team. He threw a 67-yard touchdown pass to Van Jefferson on his second pass as a Ram. Second pass. By the way, he threw a 57-yard touchdown pass to Cooper Kupp in the third quarter because our secondary sucks. We'll get into that later. Making him the first quarterback since 1963 to throw 50-plus yard touchdown passes, or two 50-yard plus touchdown passes in his debut with a new team. Just only the Bears. But yes, that is the correct answer. I'm not even upset at you for picking that because he just shredded us. Just absolutely shredded us. He finished with hold on, I've got it here. 20 for 26, 321 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Just have yourself a day, Matt Stafford.
For sure.
So let's talk about the rookie quarterbacks for a second. So we had Zach Wilson started. We had Trevor Lawrence, who didn't look too great against Houston. We had Fields get in a little bit. And then we had Trey Lance, who threw a touchdown pass on his first play as an NFL quarterback. So out of the 4 of those guys, who impressed you the most and who are you the least impressed with?
Don't forget Mac Jones.
Oh, fuck. I totally forgot Mac Jones, too, I'm sorry. I don't know.
No, you're good. I now call him McCorkle because
with a name like McCorkle, how could I forget? Jesus
I know.
Christ,
I
apologize.
only call him that now. I can't call him Mac Jones anymore. So I would say out of these, they ended up losing, but Zach Wilson played his little heart out. Like his receivers did nothing for him. His offensive line did nothing for him. He was scrambling all over the place, but I saw it. I was like, this kid is trying so hard. And the second that the Jets figure it out, he's going to be really great. And I think that, again, even though it wasn't like the best performance, they ended up coming back a little at the end of that game against the Panthers. And he was going up against the guy that he replaced too. Like he had a little bit on his mind, I think, about this game, this first game that you're going into. So Zach Wilson, I mean, again, he went 20 for 37, so not the best completions, but again, he was just scrambling all over the place and just he worked so hard. And I respect that. And I want the Jets to be good. I'm, even though I'm a Giants fan, I want the Jets to do good. So I would say Zach Wilson definitely did his absolute best.
So I was definitely shocked that Houston was good, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that speaks to like how bad the Jaguars are. I mean,
Yeah.
Trevor didn't look too good. Also, this is a fun game to play with the Texans. It's just think of any like washed up veteran. There's like a 75% chance they play for the Houston Texans. Like I had no idea Danny Amendola was on the Texans. It's just like Rex Burkhead is on the Texans. The Phillip Lindsay, David Johnson, Tyrod Taylor, who actually didn't look too bad.
Poor Tyrod.
Brandon Cooks is there. and some of these guys I'm mentioning aren't necessarily like washed up, but I was just like, Danny Amendola caught a touchdown pass. It was like, when
Yeah,
the fuck did you get to Houston?
couldn't tell you.
So I don't know. I bet on the Jags to win the game because I figured
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just expecting more, but now there's just kind of like rumblings and reports that people aren't necessarily happy with Urban Meyer. Maybe
Yeah,
Urban
I heard that
Meyer's
too.
like not really into it. Now the USC job is open after they just fired Clay Helton. So what are the chances Urban Meyer just says, fuck this shit, I'm out?
Honestly, I've seen some really horrible memes about this, but like him like faking his health problems to get out of Jacksonville, which is like a really horrible thing, but also like not out of the realm of possibility, I feel like.
Known liar, Urban Meyer.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, it would be so unprofessional of Urban Meyer if he did something like that. Like if he not even like his health thing, just left like if he just left the team or like went to the USC job, that would be so screwed up on his part. Trevor Lawrence, though, I think he didn't look great. He didn't look great in preseason either, but I don't think it was entirely his fault that the Jaguars lost. I think that the receivers did a terrible job backing him up. I think there was like 6 drop passes in this game or something like that. So, like, it really like he was trying, but it just wasn't clicking. But I don't know. Urban Myers like just gives me a bad vibe. Like about everything that he does about leaving college football for his health problems and then going to the NFL and you're like, "Well, I'm better now." And you're like, "What? Like how does that work?" It's just his whole aura about him really I don't like it. I don't want to be near him. I don't want to be associated with him. But Trevor Lawrence on his like in his defense, I think that he wasn't great, but nobody was helping him out.
Right.
Like, at all in this
Right.
offense.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't expecting the Jags to like come in the season to be 100% finished product because they're not. They still have a lot of holes to fill, but it was quite evident how many holes they have to fill after that game.
What I'm also interested to see is I think a lot of people know this stat by now, but this Trevor Lawrence has never lost a regular season game before.
Uh-huh.
I'm very interested to see how he takes these losses and then reciprocates in the next week because if you've never experienced the loss and you've just gone week to week to week to week with all of these wins and all of a sudden you lose your first NFL game ever and now you're like, "Oh crap. What do I do now?" Like I want to see like what his mentality is going to be going forward because if he starts to tank because he lost and then he's going to lose again and then lose again, not saying that that's what's going to happen, but if he continues to lose,
I mean, he's playing at Jacksonville.
right. So like it's obviously they're not gonna go, 16-1 in this season. At least I
Mhm.
don't think so. That would be wild, but I just think
I
that
mean, you
yeah,
gotta know though, like when you're going to the NFL and you're picked number one overall, you're
you're
not going to
gonna
win
lose.
every game your rookie year. Like that's got to be part of the mindset. Obviously, you go into every game like wanting to win and playing to
Right.
win, but you have like I don't know. That is something interesting to manage, and this will be the argument. It's like, oh, if it does go south, and we're like, oh, is he a bust or maybe he just got ruined by the Jaguars?
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean? Um, so I got a couple more things we want to talk about, a couple
Mhm.
more just individual games, then we'll get into the NFC and AFC West because they are all 8 of those teams are undefeated right now. To get your thoughts on those. Um, let's talk Bengals and Joey Burrow for a minute.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to apologize to the Cincinnati Bengals about?
No. I will not apologize. You wanna know why, Andy?
Why?
He had Joe Burrow was covered in grass stains, like I've been saying this whole off season. He had 5 sacks against him and like a bunch of QB pressures. Like, yes, he connected with Jamar Chase, which I will admit, Jamar Chase obviously is a great receiver and they have chemistry because they played together at LSU. But I will not apologize because this offensive line still looks like garbage. And I think that they really need to work on that. It's just 5 sacks. One
Yeah,
guy.
that is a lot. It
Like
is a lot.
it's like come
But
on. The
but they
kid's not
won the
supposed to be on the
game.
ground.
But they won the game.
Yes, in overtime with a kick.
Oh, it would have been amazing if it was a tie.
Oh my
If
god, I would have thrown up.
so let's
But I
talk about
will
the
say, I
game.
will say, Jamar Chase did perform very, very well for his first game.
6 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Joe Mixon, 29 carries, 127 and a touchdown. Their offense looked good.
Yeah.
Besides the sacks, other than the sacks, how impressed were you with the Cincinnati Bengals being able to pull out this win? Just because they jumped out to the lead, they give it up late in the game, and it just felt like one of those games, those Bengals games we've seen the past X amount of years where they're up and then they just blow it at the end.
Yeah.
How impressed were you that they were able to hang on and actually get the victory?
Very much so. Very much so. I'm so excited to see Joey B back here, and I was a little nervous like every time he hit the ground because I don't want him to get hurt again. Um But overall, the Bengals did not look like the same Bengals that we've been seeing over the past few years. Like, they came here to finish, they came here to win, and they did that. And Joe Burrow, I think, has some really great authority under center. Like, I think that he has a really good way of, even calling audibles and things like that, choosing the plays that he needs. Like, I think he did phenomenal.
He was it the play to set up the field goal?
Yes,
He
it
called
was.
that he called that himself.
Yes, he
That's
did.
that's incredible.
Yeah, I was just so impressed with him. I love him, as many people know, but his play it really was just great to see him back on the field, first of all, off of that injury,
Right.
off a tough injury too. And but yeah, overall the Bengals, I think they're not gonna win the North,
Right.
but they're gonna be a team that over the next couple years is just gonna progressively get better as long as Joey B stays healthy and they work on their offensive line. That's all they need.
As she takes a sip. I love that. Their defense was a little shaky, at the end of regulation. They ended up giving up 403 total yards, but I mean, I wasn't impressed by the Vikings.
No,
Were you?
not at all.
You had Thielen with 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Kirk Cousins has 351 and 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 20 rushes for 61 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, it was there, but it kind of took them a little bit to wake up.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the Vikings at all.
I don't trust them. I know our friend Tom Scavetta is super high on them and thinks they're going to be amazing. It's sure, they added some pieces on their defensive line. I just don't trust Kirk Cousins. It just comes down to it. 351 and 2 touchdowns is great, but it just feels like I hate to say a week 1 game is a must win, but it just feels like a game that was winnable for them and they probably should have won, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, especially when you got the chance in overtime to do that. Like, the Bengals just outplayed you. That was just the bottom line. They just did better than them. And you expect from Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson to be these amazing weapons on offense, but Kirk Cousins just doesn't seem to be making those plays happen because they're fantastic players, not taking away from Jefferson or Cook at all, but I don't know. I call him Kirkleton now. I don't know why, but every time I see him, I go, it's Kirkleton. And that just fits him now.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they were expecting to get more from Dalvin Cook because, usually when he rushes 20 times, he's going for more than 61 yards. I guess that just speaks to, shout out to the Bengals defense for stepping up and stopping the run. And then does this offense simply come down to Kirk Cousins isn't the guy? If you look and you have Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson as your 1-2, that basically you just pick whichever one of them is matched up with the defense's number 2 corner, and you just kind of let them feast. I just don't know how you can keep making excuses for Kirk Cousins if he keeps losing these games. And I shouldn't say it's all on Kirk Cousins because Mike Zimmer's the head coach and he's responsible for the whole team as well. So
right. Nah, I think that going up against this defense, a defense that is good but not the best, they should have capitalized on that, and they totally didn't. And maybe Kirk Cousins just doesn't have it. I mean, he did, I think, for a few years. They were really making some playoff runs, but I don't know. There's no spark there anymore.
Yeah.
It's
No,
weird.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that. So let's talk about two of the primetime games. Uh, the Thursday night, which was just an incredible start to the football season.
Yeah.
Dak throwing for 400 yards. Obviously the Bucks, all 22 starters back for them. And then the Monday night game was just a thriller that also goes to overtime. That certain points, I was just like, do either of these teams want to win? Like, they're just everybody's fumbling, they're turning the ball over, they're missing shit. Like, what is going on? I guess we could say of the three, what was your favorite of the primetime games to watch?
I would have to say that Monday night game because of the fact that, well, one, it went to overtime and there was that crazy touchdown by the Raiders that wasn't a touchdown at the end, and the Ravens came back and then they didn't come back, and then the Raiders ended up winning. I think that this game, not only was it great to watch, even though my time it was freaking 12:30 at night, and I was like, I just want to go to bed. This is every Monday night for the next how many weeks for me. I'm like, it's ridiculous. But I think that this game in particular was very telling that the Ravens, while they are good, they should have won that game
Oh,
after
they
they
had
got the
every
ball back.
opportunity to win that game.
They
Yes.
had to make their way down the field, and they didn't. And
Well, they were
Lamar,
winning like almost the entire
right.
game.
And just the fact that they let them come back to go into overtime is telling as well. But that last drive in overtime, like Lamar should have made it. He should have either run down the field or passed the ball or both, but it didn't happen. And I think that
Yeah,
that was very important for the Ravens, and that the Browns are taking the AFC North.
I
But
love
that's
it.
that's just
Um,
my thoughts.
so the Ravens injuries the past week and a half have been very well documented, losing all these dudes to ACL tears. They're on like their fourth or fifth running back, which is just insane.
Yeah, it
They're the
sucks.
they're the number one. They were the number one rush offense last year, the number 32 pass offense. Which you look at that and say that's not great, but I mean, when you do one thing well, you're going to do that more than the other, right? If they move the ball running, they're going to do that more than they pass. It's just going to be interesting to see because it just feels like they have to throw the ball more this year.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
have to. And Lamar has kind of taken step by step each year in the league with, as far as his arm strength and his accuracy and just making throws downfield. So I still like the Ravens, but I'm with you on the Browns thing.
Uh-huh.
I love Patrick Queen at linebacker for them. He was flying around the field. Still weird to see anybody wearing like a single digit number. Like, I got to get used to that.
Okay, I hate it. I hate
Yeah,
all of it. Like, I'm so confused. I saw, like, a receiver was, like, number 7 for a team somewhere, and he's
the
catching
guy
a
that
touchdown.
the guy that caught the touchdown pass to the Raiders, his game winning touchdown pass, he wore number 7.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I was literally
And
like,
then
"That's so weird to see." I don't like it. I
Patrick
hate the
Queen
number
wears
thing.
6. Leonard Fournette's wearing 7. There's a receiver on the Cowboys that's wearing number 1.
Oh,
They're just Damian Williams on the Bears is wearing number 8. He's a running back.
I hate
You
it.
got to get used to it. Definitely something you got to get used to.
I
All
think
right,
it's stupid.
let's talk about the Wild Wild West for a
Okay.
second. So let's start in the NFC.
All right.
Because we talked about it a little bit earlier. The Rams looked really strong against the Bears. Cardinals hung 38 on the Titans. Seattle pretty much dominated in Indianapolis. It wasn't close. 49ers looked unstoppable for like 3.5 quarters against the Lions.
Yeah.
Almost blew a big lead, but ended up getting the win. Raheem Mostert's done for the year for them. Not great. So of these 4 teams, which one do you think looked the best in week 1?
It's so hard to say because they all looked so good, and I said this in, I made a video on my YouTube channel, which was, like, division winners, so I said that the NFC West was the hardest division
It
in
is.
the entire league. I would say it would be oh my god, it's so hard to say because they all look so good. The Seahawks surprised me. I was thinking that Seahawks were going to be a little bit more on a declined level, but I mean, at least Russell Wilson looked so good. Like every time he threw the ball to Tyler Lockett, I audibly gasped because it was so gorgeous every time. It was just, they say, Russ has to cook. Like he was in the
Let
kitchen
Russ
just
cook.
freaking cooking it up like nobody's business. The 49ers, I think, for me this week were at the lowest because of the fact that they almost let the Lions beat them. Like
Yeah.
that I think is the easiest thing to say. In terms of the rest of these, I want to say the Cardinals. I want to say because that's like my hot take is like the Cardinals are taking the West, but the Rams looked so good. They
Yeah.
looked so good. I'm like I wanted to see it because everybody was talking about it. Everybody was like, Matt Stafford's this amazing angel sent from above to LA and that they're going to be this phenomenal team. And I was like, I'm sure they will be, but I need to visually see it. And I saw it and it was beautiful. And I was like, good for the Rams, but it's just
Yeah.
every team, but I would say 49ers are at the lowest in this ranking at least for this week because they should not have let the Lions get that close to winning or tying up the game at least.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, the whole Seattle thing, because they bring over Shane Waldron as their new offensive coordinator from the Rams, and Russell Wilson didn't play a snap in the preseason. So it just shows you how much extra work him and this new OC have gone into. It's a brand new offense. They're opening up things. It's similar to what the Rams run. So I'm going to be very interested to see. I think this will be the tightest division all
Absolutely.
year. All year. Any four of these teams could win it. I mean, Seattle is technically the reigning champion, but there's just a lot to like. Seattle scares me a little bit just because of their defense. I'm not 100% sold on the defense, but I mean, if you look what they did offensively to a top 10 defense against the Colts this Sunday, might not have to worry about it. Because I mean, they were hot at the beginning of the year last year, though, and they kind of fell off too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be so fun to watch. Mostert out for the Rams is going to, or I'm sorry, not for the Rams. For the 49ers is going to hurt. Do we see more Trey Lance later this year? I mean, the Rams defense is a fucking wagon with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the outside.
Amazing.
So just incredible. So if we talk about the AFC West, seems like it's going to be the Chiefs division, but you have these other teams that are creeping up. You have the Raiders that pulled off that impressive win over Baltimore. By impressive, I mean just like the grittiness to kind of grind that out and just really just win that game, take it from Baltimore. You obviously have Denver, what they did to your Giants. And then you have the Chargers, who are, on the up and up. They have the reigning rookie of the year, or last year's rookie of the year, who's looking to have a big year. New head coach in Brandon Staley that also came over from L.A. So what do you think about the AFC West? Is it just the Chiefs and everybody else, or do you think it's going to be a little bit closer than it has in years past?
I think that just from this past performance by the Chiefs, I mean, obviously they won and they came back at the end of that game against the Browns, but the Browns, if they finished the game, they would have won. Like if the Browns were there all the way until the last second of that game, I have a feeling that they would have won, which would have been a huge wake-up call for the Chiefs. I'm sure it has now been a wake-up call for the Chiefs, even though they're coming out with a 1-0 season. But I mean, I will be a little biased here. I love Justin Herbert and I love the Chargers. The Chargers in this division, I think, are going to be like this dark horse possible wild card spot, but it's not going to be easy to get there because we saw the way the Raiders were playing. Derek Carr has a new haircut and apparently that just changed everything. I mean, he just haircut. He didn't shave his head, and apparently that just like makes this an incredible offense. And their defense was phenomenal as well. The Broncos, maybe I'm salty, but I think that this was just a win for them. I don't think that they're going to be anything to be scared of for the rest of the season. But in my opinion, Chiefs most likely still take this division, but it's going to be between this Raiders and Chargers that they're just going to battle it out when they meet each other because they know that it's going to be for that number 2 spot. So it's going to be chef's kiss. Beautiful. I can't wait.
Of those 8 teams, which is going to be the first one to lose?
The Broncos. Again, I might be salty, but I think that the Broncos really are not that great. The Giants are just that bad.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely going to be the Broncos that end up losing first out of all of these.
All right, what a transition. It's no better time than the present. Let's talk. We're each going to have we're in the trust tree here. It's our little support group for our bad losses on week 1.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first since you are the guest.
Oh, thank you.
Broncos handle the Giants 27-13. What went wrong? Oh shit. I'm so sorry.
What was that?
I was getting a call from a random number, so I was trying to silence it. So I was just pressing my shit like a bunch of times, and that's like how you do the emergency contact. So it was counting down like I was about to call 911.
Oh my God.
So always something on the show. Apologies. I have a couple questions about some specific players. I'm sure you can guess.
Yeah.
But before we do that, just give me your general thoughts on the game. What went wrong for New York?
Okay. So the Giants should have won this game. That is the bottom line. However, I think there's a lot of things that are wrong. Not like I don't want to say that Daniel Jones is the problem because I don't think he's the problem because he's listening to his offensive coordinator who is Jason Garrett. And I think that Jason Garrett plays very, very safe with his offensive calls because we saw at the end of that game, they made their way down the field in their final drive to get that last score on the board just to, I guess, for funsies. Now we show up in the last like 7 seconds, but just for funs, we're going to put points on the board. And that drive was great. It was great. We saw some running. We saw some perfect throws. We saw Danny Dimes run in for a touchdown. That was what I was expecting the entire game. Why is that not happening throughout the entire game? Like, I don't understand. It also sucked that we went up against Von Miller, who is one of the most terrifying people on the planet, like right next to Aaron Donald. Like, they are so scary. The Giants did not look good. Our defense is good, and they did not perform to the best of their abilities. I think that they just needed a little bit of a push, and I'm sure that when the next couple weeks come, they'll be a little bit better. But my God, we have the pieces. We have what we need to have a good offense. Our roster is great. We did some great free agency pickups, including Kenny Golladay. Why are we not making our way down the field? Like, it's just so frustrating. I literally put the game on my computer and put Red Zone on my TV because I literally did not even want to watch it. I was like, this is so disappointing. This is not even like, I mean, there was definitely a couple of really great plays. Kenny Golladay made some great grabs. Sterling Shepard, our amazing receiver, was there whenever we needed him, and I appreciate him so much. Saquon looks a little rough. He's actually questionable for Thursday night, which is not promising, and it makes me very, very sad. But Devontae Booker's our backup. He did really great. Like, they were there and they were willing to play. And then Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones, just either they're not clicking or I don't know. I'm just so mad because this game, we should have won. We should have won this game. And it's so frustrating to watch. I just need this offense to figure it out and come together and do what they need to do because they can put points on the board. They can do it. They can win games, and they're not doing it. And it's frustrating. And that's all I got.
That's what you got. So the defense, they allowed 420 total yards. Nice. They allowed 6.4 yards per play. Denver had 165 rush yards. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater, who is for any of you bettors out there, now 22-3 against the spread on the road as a starting quarterback. Incredible. incredible. 28 for 36, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, was basically getting whatever he wanted. Melvin Gordon, 11 carries, 101 yards, 1 touchdown. He did have like a 70-yard run, so that was where the majority of his yards came from there. Jerry Jeudy, who ended up getting hurt. I don't remember
Yeah.
if he's out. Is he out for the year?
I believe it's only a few weeks. I think it's a high ankle sprain, so it's
Okay,
not
so
as bad as people expected it to be.
right, so 6 for 72 yards. Denver played really well. The Giants did not, and from what I've seen on Twitter, there are a lot of people that are unhappy with Jason
Ugh.
Garrett.
Well, to be fair, the Giants' Twitter sphere is the most toxic environment I've ever
Well, yeah.
experienced. It's horrid. I hate it so much. But I agree. Jason Garrett really seems like such an issue. Like, I don't understand what the problem is.
So I got some questions about your boy Danny Dimes.
Okay.
He now falls to 8-19 as a starter. He fumbled again in this game. That's 30 fumbles and 27 career starts. In his last 15 games, he ranks 34th out of all quarterbacks in QBR. Is it time to be done with Daniel Jones?
I like don't want to give up on him. I really don't. And I don't know if I'm like I feel like I'm settling, which is like horrible. I feel like I'm settling for this Giants quarterback, but I think that like it's very possible that he's just not fitting in our scheme, in our offensive scheme, which is sad because I think he's a great quarterback. I really do. Like, just if I take myself out of the Giants circle, like, he's not bad. He can be very good. I don't know if it's because the weapons that like he didn't have last year, but he has this year, but they still didn't connect. I don't know. I don't want to make the assumption right now because, like we said, it's week 1. We are just getting into this. I would say ask me around like week 7 or 8, and I might have a different opinion. But I found a stat that I actually sent to our friends Tom and Hank of Big Blue Avenue, and I said, this makes me sad. Daniel Jones has 40 turnovers in 28 games, and he's only played 5 games without a turnover, which is very sad for me. I don't like that
See,
stat at
that's
all. So
you can't be a starting quarterback if you can't take care of the ball. That's
yeah,
that's the bottom
he,
line.
he
Is just
also he's great when he runs, like he wants to run. He doesn't know how to hold the ball. He has such terrible ball handling. Like
mm-hmm.
you need to hold it high and tight. That's it, and take it off. I know he's a green bean. He's like freaking 7 feet tall. Like he needs to learn how to hold it tight because it's just if you want to
So
run, you got to hold the ball. You can't let it
yeah,
just flop out. So that's another issue. But
Floop.
I floop. But I want to believe in him. I will continue to believe in him because he's still our quarterback. He's making me nervous. He's really making me nervous because he's got everything he needs. At this point, it's up to him.
Right. So speaking of running the ball, Saquon?
Question mark?
For real. 10 carries, 26 yards. His longest run was 5 yards. Obviously, this is his first game off an ACL tear. Do you think he was actually fully ready to come back?
I don't know. I want to say no because even if you feel ready or even if like a doctor clears you to play, coming back from an injury like that and then going into a full-blown NFL game, going up against a defense, it's scary because you don't want to get hurt again. Like in my personal experience, just from injuries I've gotten playing sports, like in high school, I was always scared to come back because I was like, oh my God, what if I just like completely mess up like my ankle again or my knee again? Like I don't know how I'm gonna feel or if it's gonna make it worse. So I think he was just a little bit like he didn't want to go full out because something could happen. Also, our offensive line is also garbage, which doesn't help because you need a good offensive line to have a star running back because where is he going to go? Into like a group of large men, that doesn't help him. Like that doesn't help him at all. So I want to say the fact that he's questionable for Thursday is not great. And I think that maybe, he wants to come back, he wants to play, but maybe a week or two isn't a bad idea for the long run. If that's what's going to make him a better player, make him more confident, and make sure that his injury is good, I'll take a week or two off, or even 3 weeks, or whatever it takes. But I just don't want him to get hurt again and then have his career completely be over just because he wants to play. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a difficult situation.
Right. So how much longer can the Giants like keep doing that though? Like how much longer can they just hoping he's healthy, right? And then bring him back. And if he has another down year this year where, he can't stay on the field, and when he is on the field, he isn't producing, what are the chances they move on, see what they can get for him?
I mean, he will definitely, if that is the case, I'm sure that we can get some really good profit off of him. But I don't want that. I want
Right.
him to stay and I want him to be good, but I don't know how much longer we can do this and just hope for things to get better. And then another year passes and things are still not getting any better. It's really just the whole thing is just so frustrating. They really need to, like, I get it, we're rebuilding. I despise the word because everybody's always rebuilding when they're bad. I just it's so hard. It's so hard to think about, but I'm sure they'll give him a few more chances. I don't think that they just drop him at the next horrible play or horrible game that he has, but there's definitely going to be, especially by the end of this year, depending on what happens, there'll have to be some conversations to be had.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you are not the only one that is waiting for these conversations about their team. So
Yeah.
speaking of my team stunk it up in primetime versus the Rams. Stop putting the Bears in primetime. It just never fucking goes well. We always look bad, and we are just the joke of the national Twitter sphere, the media, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't even know where to start for as far as the Bears go. I mean, just the defense was atrocious. We're in real trouble with our secondary. I mean, Eddie Jackson just looks like a completely different player out there. He's like a shell of himself. We had busted coverages all night. You got dudes that are 15 yards behind our fucking safeties. It's just like, how does this even happen? Like we talked about it earlier with Stafford throwing that 67-yard TD pass. He threw a 57-yard TD pass.
Nobody
Meanwhile,
was covering Cooper Kupp.
They weren't covering anybody. Sam, you and I could have scored a touchdown on Sunday night. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I mean, new defensive coordinator Sean Desai, he's got his work cut out for him. Our secondary is so goddamn young. They weren't getting pressure on Stafford. I mean, you attribute this, the Rams have a pretty decent offensive line. They're a good team. Like, I wasn't going into this game expecting the Bears to win, but for us to look this fucking embarrassing was just like, I had to wait all Sunday for this. It's just like, and I don't understand why the media is sucking Andy Dalton's dick so hard. Like, Chris Collinsworth was talking about him like he's a fucking god amongst men after that first drive when he completed one pass for 3 yards and David Montgomery had that long ass run. And then, oh my God, what does Andy Dalton do? Throws an interception off somebody's helmet. It's just like they blew the scoring opportunity. It's like already felt like we were playing from behind because we were already playing from behind. Like as soon as the game started, he can't throw the ball downfield at all. Or if he can, Matt Nagy has zero confidence in him to do it. On Sunday night, he was 0 for 2 with an interception on passes longer than 10 yards.
Oh, no.
If Nagy was going to do this, why wouldn't he just keep Mitchell Trubisky? That's what Mitch couldn't do, right? Mitch couldn't throw the ball downfield. That's how he's successful, is these quick, short passes. Like, what is this? We have a top 15 wide receiver in Allen Robinson, who for some reason they won't let run a route farther than 8 yards. Like, it just doesn't make sense. They have Darnell Mooney and Marquise Godwin, these guys that are supposed to be speed guys that can run by you, but they won't let them run the ball. They won't let them throw the ball downfield. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, what is this offense? It was the most conservative thing I've ever seen. He was like, Matt Nagy was like a dog just putting his tail between his legs and just taking whatever he was given. So basically, he was just like, you know what, Sean? Let me just spread my cheeks and you just get in there. I am sick and fucking tired of it. He proved that he is just as clueless as we all thought. I just don't understand why Fields isn't starting. He brings in so much more versatility. You can do so much more things. Your playbook opens up so much more. I guarantee you he can throw the ball farther than 10 yards down the fucking field. He also can move with his legs. I'm getting so worked up about this right now.
We have a lot of emotions to work through.
We do.
That's why we're here.
Let me show you these. Let me show you this. This is Robinson's route tree. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
Let me take off this week 1 recap. So six receptions for 35 yards. Look, this is plus 10. This line right here at the top. There is no route that goes farther than 10 yards.
That's ridiculous. He's on my fantasy team.
How do you let that happen? I don't understand. I have Dalton's pass chart right here. Look at this, like way up there is plus 20. His farthest pass was 15 yards, and it was an incompletion.
Yeah, that was so shallow.
What? Or no, maybe that was the interception. No, that was the interception, and then oh my God, it's just like I saw that on Next Gen Stats, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I thought I was mad watching the game, and then you see something like that.
Yeah, then you're processing, and then you see other things.
Like, you think it's fucking painful for me watching it, like, or painful for like a regular football fan watching it. Just imagine being an actual Bears fan. But it was just like, we have so much to work on. And I know I said it earlier, it's week 1. You try not to get like super worked up, and we all have these overreactions. Oh, our team is the best. Oh, our team fucking sucks. But it's just like, I don't know how if you're a Bears fan, you can be excited about anything we saw. We saw at all.
Okay. I want to ask you something.
Okay.
What would you do if like they're like, yeah, Dalton's not working out? It's like, obviously he's got to come out of the game. And they put in Nick Foles. How would you feel?
I would break my television, Sam. I would never watch football again.
Ready. We'll put in
I'm
Nick.
Officially a Buffalo Bills fan if that ever happens. Like that would be the most Matt Nagy thing of all time, by the way. It's just like, but they keep saying, oh, he's not ready. How?
Yeah.
What? Like, they act like he played like Division II college football and he's never read a defense before. He played at Ohio State. He played at the highest level of college football. Yeah. He was a number 1 recruit for his entire life. He played at all of the Elite 11, all of the elite camps. The notion that he is not ready is just asinine to me. It is, for somebody coaching for their job, it just doesn't make sense. It's just like, what are you trying to pull here? I mean, it's the lone bright spot of this game was David Montgomery, 16 carries for 108 yards and a touchdown. Other than that, we did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I think that they're just scared of putting Justin Fields in, because like then the people are going to be like, the Bears are going to be good now, and then there's like all of that, like that weight of being an actual good team.
Well, Matt, you kind of got to be good this year.
Matt,
you're not going to have a job.
Yeah, seriously. I feel like if you put in Justin Fields, it's going to save your job.
But there's just like it's like at one hand they're like, oh, we don't want to ruin him. But it's just like, if you talk to a lot of these quarterbacks that did sit, I'm sure they're going to have good things to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
But also they're going to tell you they learned a lot more playing the game rather than watching it. He's not going to learn shit watching fucking Andy Dalton throw 5-yard passes every down.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, he's got to experience the game and the speed and what it's like. But I mean, they're not going to win any games because the defense can't stop anybody. And I don't know.
Which is surprising. I was expecting more out of the Bears defense.
Right. I mean, that's what everybody is, because they've just been the focal point of the team for forever. But it's just like, oh, we can't ever have a decent quarterback and a or we can't ever have a good offense and a good defense at the same time. It's just not how it works. So, yeah, that's enough of that. I don't need to get any more gray hairs thinking about this. So hopefully week 2, we see Andy Dalton as the starter. But I mean, just hats off to the Rams. I mean, they were clearly the better team. You look at even just looking at the numbers, like we mentioned earlier, Stafford 20 for 26, 321, 3 touchdowns, just getting whatever he wanted. Darrell Henderson had a nice game on the ground, 16 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 7 receptions, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. Those breakfasts with Matt Stafford are apparently paying off.
Oh my God. So pure. Pure.
I will ask you this. I don't know if you saw this. It was like McVay's comments about Jared Goff after the game.
I didn't.
He was like, Jared put us in the position to be good enough that a guy like Stafford would want to come play here. Is that not the like most indirectly like mean thing you've ever heard? Like,
I mean, I'm sure he meant it in like a way that was like, if Jared was never here, we wouldn't be where we are.
Right, but it's like, oh yeah, we shipped him off. It's like, I was just like, that's so mean. I don't know.
Also, I wonder how Jared feels that like Cooper is having breakfast with Matt and like now he's like they're like this amazing duo, and he's like, man, that's all I wanted was to have waffles with Cooper.
It's the guy looking over his shoulder meme or whatever.
Yeah. With the girl, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we got to say about week 1. Let's talk a little bit quickly because the Thursday night game, we're dropping this episode Thursday morning. Your New York Giants, they're back short week against the football team. Both teams come in at 0-1. Football team are missing Ryan Fitzpatrick 6 to 8 weeks with a hip. Before we preview the game, does this open up the NFC East like way more? I mean, the football team were coming in as the presumptive favorites, at least from what I had seen, especially because, Fitzpatrick's not a world beater at quarterback, but he's better than what they had last year. Agreed. Mm-hmm. So he just kind of seemed to give them more stability there. Does this make this division a little bit more wide open for the taking?
If you told me like a month ago that week 1, the Eagles would be the only team that won in the NFC East, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
But here we are. I think the East is always like, it's always like that. It's always like up for the taking at every point in time. The Cowboys, I will say, surprised me. They looked really good on Thursday against the Buccaneers. I'm a little afraid of them. I'm a little afraid of everybody now. But the Eagles also looked good. Jalen Hurts was like massive. Like the kid put so much weight on, like in his chest and his shoulders and everything. I was like, what? Who is this? Whose man's is this? He is like, whoa. I came out of here and I was like, what? That's not Jalen Hurts. But it was. And I'm not saying that I like Jalen Hurts because I can't do that to myself. But
you can't do that to yourself. Jordan would probably love it if you did, though.
Jordan, I can't show her my vulnerabilities. But either way, yes. The division I think is always up at every point. But with Fitz gone for a long time, I'm pretty sure. I think they said like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Like he's not playing. I'm curious though to see if they end up picking somebody up or if they just go with Heineke for the rest of the season. But
I got a name for you.
I know what you're gonna say.
You better hear me out.
Okay.
The Washington football team needs to trade for Mitchell Trubisky immediately.
Do you think he'd go? I feel like he wouldn't go.
Why not? If he got traded, what does he have to say? He can't.
Oh, well, obviously. But I don't know. He seems really happy in Buffalo.
I'm sure he is, but you give him a starting spot in a team competing for a division. He's been to the playoffs 2 years of his career. Riverboat Ron? Because everybody's saying, oh, they should sign Cam, but it seems like Ron...
Cam's not going to go.
Yeah, it's just... I don't know. It's just a name. I don't think it'll actually happen, but...
At this point, anything's possible, Andy. I mean, who knows?
I mean, Heineke is electric, though, but I just think if there's a guy like that that's a backup, and I'm not saying everybody knows my opinions on Mitchell Trubisky. We know he's not something super special, but I would take a guy with, 3 years of NFL starting experience over
Yeah.
Taylor
Well,
Heineke. Shit.
well, yeah, I don't know. This
I don't know.
division just gives me agita.
So what are you thinking for this game tomorrow? Like, do you put a must-win tag on a game in week 2?
Absolutely, especially if it's divisional. Absolutely. However, seeing the way that the Giants performed against the Denver defense with a strong defense, with a terrifying defense, and now they're going up against Washington, who again has a strong and terrifying defense. This, unless they figure it out in the next day or the last few days, they're going to look exactly how they did in Denver or with Denver. They are just, it's going to be atrocious. Daniel Jones is going to get pressured too much, which causes him to overthrow or throw out or whatever, or get sacked for all we know. There's no way that in this span of time that they figure that out by this point. So unfortunately, I have a feeling the Giants are going to end up losing, even with Ryan Fitzpatrick out and Taylor Heineke in. But Taylor Heineke has proved that he's not a bad quarterback. He
Yeah.
can perform the best way. I'm not sold on their offense, but our offense going up against their defense is, yeah. So I'm going to go with the fact that the Giants might lose to the Washington football team.
So if it makes you feel any better, Justin Herbert threw for 337 yards against the football
He sure
team.
did.
On Sunday. They didn't look like great. I mean, they did only give up 20 points. So, yeah.
But Justin Herbert is not Daniel Jones.
That's true. That is true. They are in a completely different stratosphere.
Oh, my God. If Justin Herbert was on our team, shut the front door. I'd be losing my mind.
Shut the front door. So what a transition, Sam.
Yeah.
This one might hurt. You're on the brew party. You know I got to hit you with some tough questions, all right? So
okay.
love for Justin Herbert and Joey Burrow is well documented, okay? So if you search Twitter at TGWTS podcast, Justin Herbert,
God.
There are some few things that come up. My favorite one is I love Justin Herbert. Also, he's got a farmer's tan, and I don't even care what a munchkin.
Oh my God, I'm being exposed.
Other selections include a picture of Herbert with his Rookie of the Year trophy that reads, "How is Justin Herbert not booed up in LA yet? Look at this dapper ass man. He fly." If you search TGW2S podcast Joe Burrow on Twitter, my favorite result was leave Joe Burrow alone. Let him have 9-inch hands. It's fine.
I remember tweeting that.
Glad to see you're on the right side of history with that. And then another quote tweet, another one is a quote tweet of Burrow at a UFC event that just simply says, "Thank you for existing," at Joey B. So, with all that being said,
I feel so vulnerable right now.
Which one of them is going to throw for more yards this season?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Do you want their numbers after week 1?
Yeah. Hit me with it.
Burrow 261, Herbert 337.
Okay. I am going to say Justin Herbert because I'm thinking about Joe Burrow laying down on the grass every other play because they didn't work on their offensive line in the draft. And I will stay by this. Joe Burrow is still going to have an excellent season. I would never say anything ill will towards the man. But Justin Herbert also, I'm pretty sure he was getting banged from the side as he threw the ball and it went 50 yards. The kid's got an arm. It's insane. And I just read the article that Mina Kimes put out a few weeks ago where she spent the day with him and he literally just throws the ball 70 yards and he's just yep, okay. That's what I can do. And I'm yeah, He's great. So I'm going to say that Justin Herbert is going to throw for more yards than Joe Burrow this season, but I love them both. As you guys have just seen, as Andy read my tweet. I think that's like my hell, is people sitting and reading my tweets to me.
I was just like trying to come up with some fun stuff that we could end it with, and I was like, let me
Thank
look
you. I don't
up
even remember any of those other tweets. I remember the 9-inch hands one though.
The one I was trying to find, it was like you called one of them like a little bean or some shit like that, and I thought that was
that was
really
probably
fun.
The thing is, okay, so there's a difference. Joe Burrow is hot. Oh, I just smacked my thing. He's like a hot guy. Justin Herbert is a bean. He is just, I don't even like Justin Herbert in a romantic sense. I just want to be his friend. I just want to hang out with him and play Catan in his apartment with his cat, because that's what he does. He just plays board games in his house with his cat. And that's all I want to do. Joe Burrow is just like nice to look at. But also in terms of their abilities in football, they're both very, very good. But Justin Herbert's got a huge arm on him. So I think that that's what's going to happen.
I think at some point this year, we'll have to have you and Jordan on, and we'll just rank all 30 quarterbacks in order of cuteness. Or you'll have to explain.
That's so demeaning, but I want to do it.
I'm sorry that as soon as it came out, I was like, yeah. Ooh,
no, not towards us, towards them.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. Yeah, fuck them.
I love that.
I love that. All right. Yeah, we're gonna rank them on a hotness scale. We'll have certain things to do, but okay, we're gonna play a quick game and then we're gonna close it out. So I know we went a little long here. So it's just true or false. It's simple. I've got some statements here. You're gonna tell me if they are true or false about the NFL 21 season and beyond. Okay. Number one, Jameis Winston will be in the MVP conversation this year. True. Love it.
True, he will be, because he is fantastic and a national treasure.
Number two, Daniel Jones will be the New York Giants starting quarterback in 2022.
True. Oof. True. They might draft a quarterback, but if he's still on the team, I would see him starting.
Okay. Number three, the Kansas City Chiefs will lead the league in wins in 2021.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with false.
Ooh, okay.
I think that they have I think people are figuring them out and they're starting to have a few weaknesses to them.
Always. Number four, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will return to the Super Bowl.
True. Same roster, man. Can't go wrong.
Number five, the New York Giants will make the playoffs.
False.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm being realistic here. I'm trying to set myself up.
Good for you. Good for you.
Expectations that can't be reached.
Number six, Justin Fields will start a game before week 5.
True.
Love it.
I predicted week 4 for him, so true.
Number 7, Trevor Lawrence will win Rookie of the Year.
False.
Ooh, okay.
Not if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Like it. And then number 8, my last one, which is actually something you already answered earlier in the show, but I'm going to bring it up again. The Cleveland Browns will win the AFC North.
True. So true. The hardest true. Baker Mayfield is life.
Is he hot or is he a bean?
Yeah, he's hot.
He's
my type. He's my type. Dark hair, beard. I don't know if anybody's seen my boyfriend before.
Yeah. You just need to put some glasses on Baker, and him and Michael are essentially the same person.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. You guys live in the Cleveland Stadium as well. So, just like
that means that I look like Emily, which is a huge compliment to me.
There you go. Sam, before we get out of here, again, I always love talking to you. This is a blast. I love your takes on everything and the way we can spin it and make it our own.
Thank you.
Of course, let's plug your podcast once again. Anything you're working on, because I know you're a busy person. You got a lot of stuff, not just the Girl Who Talks Sports. So anything you want to plug, you have the floor. Let us know where we can find everything Sam Cardona.
Yeah, you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms, basically wherever you can get a podcast from. If you guys are just like wondering where that is, you can just go to thegirlwhotalksports.com. Everything is there in terms of listening. And the YouTube channel is also The Girl Who Talks Sports. I was very happy. I hit 150 subscribers few like last week, and now I'm at 155. So if you guys want to subscribe and get that follower count or the subscriber count up to like 200, maybe I'll do something fun for
Do
you
it.
guys if that happens. I have a lot of fun off-season content that I'm going to be putting out on YouTube, which I'm very excited about. That's just extra stuff. That's going to be really fun. And yeah, I'm on social media on Twitter at TGWTS Podcast, which obviously you guys just heard the kind of tweets that I tweet out thanks to Andy.
Very fun.
I mean, if you want to follow along with me on NFL Sundays, I just sit in front of my computer, in front of my TV, and just tweet nonsense. So it's a fun time. It's a good way to get your emotions out. And
Very
I'm
good.
on Instagram and TikTok at The Girl Who Talks Sports. Again, I'm figuring out TikTok, but it's a fun time.
Love it. Sam, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you. Thank you for getting her to 150 subscribers, everybody. If you did, you're no longer dead to me. Like I said on Twitter,
Andy was threatening people for me.
That's the way to get things. That's the way to get things done, Sam. I don't know. Maybe you should try it sometime.
Maybe I will.
So this is the Brew Party Podcast, episode 75, our NFL Week 1 recap with the one and only Sam Cardona from The Girl Who Talks Sports from Big Blue Avenue. Make sure you check us out on YouTube as well. We are youtube.com/The Brew Party. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Pandora, seriously, wherever. Just search The Brew Party or go to www.thebrewparty.com. It's got links to all of our episodes, ways to listen to them, and links to support the show, like buymeacoffee.com or buymeacoffee.com/The Brew Party. Or you can buy merch. Go to our Twitter page, twitter.com/The Brew Party. It's our pinned tweet. You can follow us there at The Brew Party on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us on Facebook at The Brew Party Podcast. Join the party. We'd love to have you. We got awesome football content coming all fall. This is our bread and butter, ladies and gentlemen. This is just what we live for. Maloney's Moneyline, Friday afternoon. Another live stream, week 2. I was your week 1 winner. Surprise, surprise, motherfuckers.
Congrats.
6-2. Thank you. It's just all downhill from here. So Ryan and I will be joined by Sam and I's friend, very good friend of the program. Sporty Jordy will be making her Maloney's Moneyline debut, making some picks with us. We're doing NFL picks against the spread, overs, unders, all of that good stuff. Super excited to have Jordy on and get her picks, see what she's thinking for week 2. Once again, we thank Sam Cardona for joining us. This is the Brew Party Podcast. Whether you're listening, whether you're watching, I just thank you for letting me penetrate your eyes or ears. Appreciate you so much. We're out of here.